think we might get started. I'd like to acknowledge the land that we meet on tonight is the traditional lands for the Kaurna people, and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Greater Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. I seek leave to make a personal statement. What? Okay, thank you. Thank you. During the CEO PMP meeting on the 30th of 5th, 23, a deputation was refused by Deputy Mayor Shanks. I made comments that implied Mr Tooley giving a deputation was a health and safety risk to Mr Innett. My comments were inappropriate and should not have been made in a public forum. I apologise to Mr Tooley for those comments and for any embarrassment caused as a result. My apology is tantamount to giving back to our community. I hope that we can move on from here and focus on more important matters for our community. Thank you. Wish to move a motion?
I'd like to move a motion that be recorded in the minutes.
Okay, you moved the motion. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Samble seconded. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Yeah. So, if you can all vote on that motion, please. Thank you. Thank you. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Roll call. We have no apologies. Motions to grant leave of absence. Is there any motions to grant leave of absence? If there be none, Councillor Nathan Shanks, 16th of July to 24th of July, Councillor Ethan White, 8th of July to the 2nd of August, and there are no non-attendance. Public open forum. I handed that to you if you'd like to make a ruling on that.
Yeah, so on advice, Mr Tooley has seek public open forum in relation to the apology, and I felt that that was not accepted as the matter has already been resolved.
Okay. If you'd like to take the chair, I'd like to go out. Thank you.
So, yeah, we're just waiting for it to come back up. So, as a process question, is that, I'm not sure how it works for open public forum as relation, as opposed to deputations, but is that something that gets noted in the...
Obviously, 7-day trial.
Yeah.
It's a web trial, and that hasn't happened in this case. So in this case, it's simply denied the request to speak, which you as a chair or acting chair can make the determination on. I don't think there's a need for a...
Is there a need for it to go in the minutes or anything? Yeah, put your microphone on. Sorry,
to clarify, is there a need for a confirmation from the council as a whole? I'm not sure about that. If you want to minute the decision, you'd need to get a collective decision and mover and a seconder, and for that to be passed by council.
Is that what? Yeah.
Chair, you need to get a mover and a seconder if you wish to record in the minutes as to the reasoning for your decision and the view of the council as a whole.
So does anyone wish to do that, or we don't have to? Councillor Solomon? Do you have a question, or what?
Maybe a question to it might be the CEO, might be someone else, but to the chair. If we go outside of our normal meeting procedures to list it in the minutes, and given that we don't have a reason, like a reason typed up for all of us to view, does that put us at some risk that could be recorded inaccurately as to the governance and legal basis for refusing the public open forum?
Through the chair, if effectively all that's being asked is simply to minute the decision which has been recorded on live streaming, what the wording is the wording. I don't think there's an issue procedurally with that. If, however, you want to spend 5 minutes and we come up with some wording specifically for you to then minute, that's your decision.
So just to understand, that would, if we minute it, it would just be that an application was given, it was refused, and then leave, and no reasoning beyond what was said, just it was refused. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Thank you for thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. Councillor Valalonga.
I'm not sure what's going on. Can someone please explain to me?
So, all right, I'll give you. So, Mr. Tooley has put in a public open forum request. It's not a deputation request, it's a public open forum request. Yes, he wants to speak, but I've ruled that the topic is not one that I'll accept.
How can you say that? It's an open forum. I have policy here, it's an open forum. I mean, policy here. Your own policy says I can speak any
Councillor Hennessy.
I'd like to do a point of order, please. That's an R30, an interruption.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if a point of order against not someone who's not on the council means anything, but it's a disruption. All right, Councillor Valalonga.
If the rules are that you're allowed to speak, I don't think that we should knock it back, and I'd like to put a motion that we put it forward.
That is fine. I think when a deputation or a public open forum is refused, the council has the ability to veto it, but that is... Sorry.
To clarify, it's the chair's decision whether they will receive and accept the request. All the acting mayor is asking is to record the minutes of the decision that's already been made. There's not a vote on whether there's merit in the chair's decision.
Okay. Councillor Hennessy.
Yeah, I'm happy to have the minutes record that you've made that decision, Acting Chair.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Solomon? Any discussion? If not, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? It is carried. We can have a division. All those in favour, please stand. All those in favour are Councillor Lorna, Councillor Kosh, Councillor Hughes, Councillor Solomon and Councillor Hennessy. All those against are Councillor Valalonga and Councillor Sample. The motion is carried. And we'll bring the Mayor back in. All right, so I'll be continuing to chair for now. There's been a public open forum request on policy. I don't believe I have a reason to deny it. You're welcome to come up to the stand, as long as it is on the topics that you have put in here. And yeah, and not in relation to the other matter.
Open forum, as I have here, is an open forum. I have policy and questions. I have here in my hand the Town of Gawler policy statement that the Mayor regularly reads out at the beginning of meetings. The statement that she reads out warns elected members and those in the gallery that as presiding member she will not tolerate any personal attacks on anyone and reminds everyone how to behave and act in a civil way. And I quote from the policy: "Anger, rudeness, ridicule, obscene or profane language, impatience and lack of respect for others and personal attacks are not acceptable behaviour." Personal attacks in the chamber are not acceptable behaviour. Yet despite that policy and the public stance of the Mayor and this chamber, I have been publicly attacked in this chamber several times.
Sorry, this is not in relation to policy. This is going back to the previous matter. If you've got anything to say that's not about that, you're welcome to continue speaking. Oh, you can turn it on.
What you're doing is gagging free speech, because an open forum says, and you say in your policy, you welcome criticism. And I'm critical that that policy has not been applied in this chamber. And as recently we've read in the media, I was attacked.
So, Councillor Solomon?
Yeah, Chair, there's on a point of order that this is deviating into a matter which has one, been resolved, and it two, is a complaint of which there are active parts pending about the process, and it's being discussed openly in a public forum by someone who's party to that complaint. It's not respecting that process, and it's well outside of what's appropriate to be giving a speech on in the open forum. So I would ask that this cease.
Through the chair has a discretion to make a decision as to how he conducts the meeting. So you have that discretion.
Okay, so yes, if it's going to continue to be about the previous matter, then or active matters, it's not going to be accepted. So unless you have something to say that is not about that, but is about policy, and you put your mic on. Yeah.
You're leaving yourself open to a legal challenge, because I have been in this chamber when people have come to this open forum to challenge you about decisions you've made. We heard it with the whole of the Eckermann Avenue group. They came when they challenged the decisions you made. We've had people come here and speak about the rural areas, and they challenge you about the decisions you've made. And you're saying that I cannot challenge you about a decision you've made. I walked out when that apology was made because the words that were spoken...
Sorry, it's about the apology again. I'm not going to accept this. Look, public open forum is not a legal right. It's something that we choose to do optionally. Other councils often don't do it, and we do allow or disallow things. It's not an issue of free speech or a legal issue. But look, I've given you about 3 chances and it keeps coming back into the matter of the apology, and so I'm going to end it there, and we can bring the Mayor back in to continue the meeting. This is a disruption to the meeting. Please sit down.
And you did nothing about it. And you let her off with a re-mention, and she didn't even say what the crime was. That's what
If you
this
can-
town was descended into. And you should be ashamed of yourselves.
There are nil declarations of interest. Has anybody got? No? No? Okay. Adjourned items, there are nil. Petitions, there are nil. Confirmation of minutes. Ordinary council meeting, 25th of June 2024. You moved Councillor Hughes. Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Davies. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Special council meeting, 16th of July 2024. Councillor Koch has moved, seconded by Councillor Hughes. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Special council meeting, 17th of July 2024. Who wants to move? Councillor Hughes has moved. Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Davies. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Business arising from minutes. Any business arising from minutes? No? Okay, thank you. So now we move to decision reports. Building Fire Safety Committee appointment reviewed policy and terms of reference. Do you wish to move that way? Thank you. Do you wish to speak?
Just briefly, this is a procedural sort of matter we sort of go through every year. So yeah, happy with moving this motion.
Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Davies. Thank you. I don't have a pen. Sorry. Oh, thank you. Oh, this is really heavy. Councillor Hughes and Councillor Deputy Mayor Davies. Councillor Hennessy, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, just a question. It's a bit unclear, but does our presiding member for this committee get paid? I noticed there's a budget of $3,000. I'm just not sure if it's a paid position.
The costs associated with operating with the adopted annual budget, of which $3,000 has been allocated for this purpose. Who wish? Oh, David Belatovich. Thank you.
Through the mayor, yes, he does. So that's what their fees are for.
Thank you. Does that answer your question? So thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. 10.2. Suburban University Study Hub Grant Program. David, do you wish to make any comment on this report?
So, through the Chair, thank you, Mayor Redman. Council staff see this as a really fabulous opportunity to try and encourage more tertiary student engagement within our region, and I'm really looking forward to a successful application, hopefully, in this project. We are working hard with both Flinders University and the yet-to-be formally declared Adelaide University, but the University of Adelaide and UniSA partners, around what opportunities we may be able to share and co-present through the facility. So at no cost to the hub itself. So the universities will come in, will provide the spaces, and that's part of the application process. And we're also collaborating with the Barossa campus, the RDA Barossa Gawler Adelaide Plains campus, which is a regional study hub. So we're really quite excited by the potential for this hub within the Gawler Civic Centre. So we're hopeful that Council endorses the opportunity to apply, and more hopeful that the federal government actually agrees with our application.
Councillor Hennessy, I saw your hand up first.
Yeah,
and then Councillor Hughes.
I'm very happy to move the motion. I congratulate the staff on this report and look forward to the grant application. I actually think it's a really worthwhile project, and I think both in terms of upskilling and increasing the successful study here for our citizens, but also I think the space that is presently the business hub, I think this could be a really interesting and worthwhile use of that space, and which in fact will end up benefiting many of the businesses in town, as it turns out, by having that type of dynamic function, and as well as the students that come out from it. So I look forward to this getting passed. Thank you.
Councillor Hughes, do you wish to speak?
The statistics are really quite powerful. The really low percentage of university graduates from our area is really quite concerning, and it's something we have been pushing for quite a long time. One of my daughters has just finished at Flinders, and it was quite difficult and a lot of travel to get to Flinders from Gawler. I've got another daughter that's still doing the travel, and yeah, it is a huge amount of travel, and I think just having study buddies and things like that based here, and just that networking, and actually having some assistance here will really help those students that do struggle as well, because through my family and other families, I'm hearing that a lot of students since COVID are really struggling academic-wise to actually pass the courses, because they're losing that connection with their fellow students, and having a hub with other students in the same boat. They might not be doing exactly the same subjects or things like that, but just the correct practices, and just having the courage to actually ask lecturers and tutors questions and things like that, which I think a lot of students unfortunately just don't have those skills, and they need that assistance really to sort of get that two-way feedback and really help them with their studies. So I think this is fantastic.
I'd like to make a comment. My son left home and moved to Cowandilla. He worked at some pub in town, and he did a foundation course. He then went on and did a Bachelor of Archaeology, and then he went on and did a Masters of Artefact Restoration at Melbourne University, and now he's working at the Powerhouse Museum. So there is value in doing tertiary education. Many of us have done tertiary education, and I think that it is highly valuable to to achieve a master's. He did a master's. He's got a huge HECS debt, mind you, 80,000, and I don't know if that's going to come down. I hope they get rid of the HECS debt, but that's up to the federal government. So we will look forward to that. Councillor Koch?
Yeah, look, I'll support this. Just on my personal journey, I was a tutor in remote Australia for a number of years, and I felt that by being that connection with the university and those students, it assisted those students, because otherwise they would have struggled. And I found it very valuable, and most of my students passed. Actually, all my students passed, so I was very happy about that. So, yeah, I'm all for adult education and further education. Thank you.
I think it's a really, really good outcome. We've got 51 students now, David, is that correct?
Through the chair, we're up to 55.
Oh, 55
now.
Oh my God.
And we've still got 3 in the works, so hopefully we'll be up to about 58 by the end of the week. It's a fabulous hub grant program. So anybody else? Isaac Solomon?
Just a quick question, just in terms of the physical infrastructure going in, so like, for example, the couch and stuff, where precisely was that going? It might be in the report, but I think I missed that a bit as well.
David?
So through the chair, it's not in the report. We didn't go to that level of detail. However, through the staff visit that we had to the Barossa campus, we saw the really good opportunity around those informal meeting gathering points. And we're looking at that couch facility being in the front end of the existing innovation hub in that kitchenette space. There's a couple of chairs there at the moment, but if we can create a bit more of a study nook, informal gathering point, somewhere to sit and drink and eat and those sorts of things in that sort of space, there could be another one to the rear of the hub where there's an open space as well. So there's an opportunity for a couple in that space, but it'd be enclosed within a swipe card access facility area, not in the general public domain.
Does that answer your question? Yeah. Do you wish to speak?
Yes.
Yes.
Please. Thank you, Mayor. Of course, I'm very supportive of this, and glad to hear the response to the question there, that there will be opportunity for somewhere to go, which is more like a permanent space, to have that sort of social interaction and things. I did have to look up what a farcla was the first time I read the fit out here. Of course, it's a fantastic IKEA range of mugs, plates and bowls, as I learnt from this report. I learn something new every day. But I think on the merit of this actual grant here, it's something which has been necessary for a long time. I mean, obviously this is something which is aimed at supporting the entire northern suburbs as well, and even further out into the Barossa. This is a big regional thing, and we look at our statistics. We've got that 14.2%. You look at City of Salisbury, 14.6%, but then you look at where Mawson Lakes is, about that 28%. You take that out, it looks more like 10% there. Elizabeth, the City of Playford, 9.1% attainment rate, really, really low, well and truly below state average. So, when we talk about these kind of hubs as well, we tend to think a lot about, it's people who can't afford to travel. And of course, there's an element of that as well. But I tell this story often, having been in having talked about this kind of stuff in the university sector for a while, but my dad was someone who was first in family to go to university, and he went to university when my brother and I were babies, and he had the responsibility of being home and looking after us during that time, and he had to try and manage around university. Him and my mum had to manage around university to try and do that. These are the kind of people, the kind of stories that we have in the north. It's not just people who are going straight from school into university, but it's also people who are non-school leavers who need that support, and sometimes they can't be away from their family, from care responsibilities, from whatever's going on at home for a long period of time, but they do need to get away for a short period of time and have somewhere where they can really focus and get the resources that they need to get that education. And so this is why this kind of thing is so important. We talk about, of course, the attainment rates, and we see the participation rates for people going into university from year 12, But another thing in the north is the retention rate is incredibly low because of the number of people who drop out in first or second year because it's so hard, the number of people who go to part-time because they can't afford to do full-time study. It doesn't work financially for them, it doesn't work with all the other things going on in their lives, but they still want an education. And when you look at universities like you look at the University of Adelaide and you look at comparatively universities like Western Sydney or UniSA, they have much larger number of students, but in terms of equivalent full-time student load, as it's called, then, once you sort of aggregate it all and see what it would be like if everyone was studying full-time, they're very similar. And that's because people from low SES backgrounds, people from places like the northern suburbs, have to study part-time. That's the reality. So what we're doing by having this hub here is enabling them to have somewhere where they are able to get away from whatever's happening at home, focus on what they need to focus on, and get the work done that they need to do. Just finally, it ties in to what we talked about the other day with living locally as well. When I sit down, most lectures are online these days, but when I sit down, watch a lecture, if I'm at uni, I love to grab a coffee, and you can do that right here in Gawler. Sometimes, if it's a pay week, I'll go across and have a cheeky banh mi from the Sitlo on the UniSA campus there, but you can do that here in Gawler. There's a great bakery down here that does wonderful banh mi's, which I and the Deputy Mayor visit regularly. And I do great donuts as well. But you can do that right here in Gawler, and you can study here, you can work here, you have the resources that you need to do those things, and you can shop and have that experience locally as well. So I think this is a really good initiative, and even if this particular grant doesn't work out for us, and I know some other councils are going for it as well, and some other people are going for it as well, I still think those relationships which are being built, which staff have done a great job with building with Adelaide University and Flinders University, is going to be great for the future, because we know that there's been a lot put into supporting students from low SES and rural backgrounds in that formation of the Adelaide University, but also Flinders has gotten a massive boost as part of that. And so when those students do come, they need somewhere to make sure that they are staying at university and they are able to continue as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Hennessy, are you happy for me to put that motion? Thank you. The debate is now closed. All those in favour of the motion, carried unanimously. Draft monthly finance report, June 24. Who'd like to move officer's recommendation? Councillor Hughes, do you wish to speak?
Just briefly, the way the financial year sort of worked out for the federal government money has sort of made the deficit look worse, but it does also sort of highlight the fact that we are running in a deficit anyway, but just our finances are really tight. But thank the staff for the reporting, because it is quite detailed and it explains things really well. So there must have been a lot of time involved with that. So thank you.
I'd like to thank the staff as well. Any other comments, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, just to, I guess, reiterate that this is not
Do you wish to second it?
Yes, to second it,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
To reiterate, this is not that we've suddenly had a sudden deficit of 2 million, it's just the difference between some money coming in on 30th of June and the money coming in on the 1st of July sometimes means that accounting things go into different columns, so it's largely an accounting thing and not otherwise an issue.
Councillor Hennessy?
Yeah, I'm going to support this as well, but and I'm sure we'll come to this tomorrow night as we start to dig down into the long-term financial plan. I still note that we need to pay attention to our budget, to our revised budget. From my point of view, it's been put to me that the budget we went out to, it was the compact we made last last year, is the compact we make, as we do each year with the community about what we're going to spend. Having to revise our budget and do different things means that in one sense we are varying that compact that we have. So it's time to start cutting our cloth to meet our budget, and especially as we look towards our long-term financial plan, I think we're all going to have to be much more realistic about what we can actually achieve with the funds that we have coming in. So I look forward to tomorrow night's planning.
Thank you. Any other comments? No. Councillor Hughes, are you happy for me to put the motion? The debate is now closed. I will put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Information reports, grants update. The council notes the grants update report outlining council's external grants administration and management between 1st of May and 30th of June 2024. Would you like to move that way, Councillor Hughes? Do I have a seconder, Councillor Koch? And Koch. Any discussion? Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just to thank staff for the revised format. It is so much easier to read. I look forward to perhaps this type of format being considered by others. It contains all the information we know. It highlights the new grants, but it's certainly easier to digest in this format. So thanks to the staff.
Thank you. I'd like to thank staff as well. Any other comments? Yes, Councillor Koch.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, I enjoyed reading this report, and I had a few questions, but when I went to the attachment, all the answers were there. So, yeah, thanks very much. It was a good report.
Thank you. Any other comments? No. Councillor Hughes, are you happy for me to put the motion? I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Recommendations from committees. From the Corporate and Community Services Committee, meeting held on the 9th of July, that the Corporate and Community Services Committee recommends to Council that Gawler Activation Strategy Review Phase 2 Community Engagement 7.1. How do we wish to move forward? Councillor Hughes, are you happy to move that motion? Do you wish to speak? Do I have Isaac Solomon? Councillor Solomon. Yeah. Okay. Any other discussion? If not, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Elliott Goodger Memorial Park Master Plan Community Engagement Outcomes. How do we wish to proceed? Councillor Solomon. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hennessy. If there's no further discussion, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Over the page. Recommendations from the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 2nd of July, that the Audit and Risk Committee annual report. How do we wish to proceed? Councillor Hughes, you moving. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Solomon. Hughes. If there's no further discussion, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Policy review, that the following policies be adopted: rate rebate, debtor management, financial hardship, and the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to make changes of a minor and or technical nature to the policies adopted by Council. Do you wish to move that way? Thank you, Councillor Hennessy, and seconded by Councillor Hughes. If there's no further discussion, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Northern Adelaide Waste Management Authority budget reviews. How do we wish to proceed? Yeah. Northern Adelaide Waste Management Authority budget reviews.
A quick question, if I understand this correctly, it's actually about information which is provided to us, so it's not material. But just a question to staff, and it's sort of in the same vein as I think Peter Fairley-Jones was asking, because I did watch that Audit and Risk Committee online, but this seems fairly operational request for information. I'm just wondering why it's coming from council rather than just being done by staff? Because just on face value it looks operational.
Through the Mayor. So essentially it is probably a bit of an operational issue. It was raised at the Audit Committee because the council hadn't been receiving the budget reviews from the regional subsidiaries, which is a requirement under the Act. So it is just basically an issue that was raised with the committee, and the recommendation is that we write to Norma and subsequently to the Gawler River, because it's the same issue, floodplain, just requesting that we receive, because under the Act, the council has to actually endorse budget reviews being a constituent owner. So that's why it's actually coming back to the council for the council to request it, because the council has to actually endorse any changes to the budgets of regional subsidiaries for budget reviews.
They do.
So that's why it's coming back to the council to do that, to request that, because essentially it's they're not just presented to staff. They have to, the budget reviews under the Act, the requirements of the Act, that any time that they amend a budget, they have to actually seek the endorsement of their constituent councils, being us, to actually endorse their budget adjustment. So they can't just change the budget without coming back.
Right. So just further to clarify, so it's the request is coming from council because that information is given directly to council, it doesn't come through staff first. Is that correct?
Legislative requirement. Yeah, it's a legislative requirement.
Yeah. So essentially, the Norma, as the organisation, should be writing to council, requesting us to actually do that adjustment. They haven't been doing that, so the thing is just from a legislative requirement.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? We've got. I don't have a mover or a seconder. Are you happy to move, Councillor Hughes? Do I have a seconder, Councillor Koch? Any further discussion? If not, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Gawler River Floodplain Management Authority budget reviews to 23-24. I think it's the same result. Do you wish to move that way, Councillor Hughes? Councillor Koch, Councillor Hughes and Koch. If there's no further discussion, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. External bodies reports. We have the Elderly Centre Advisory Working Group, and they're in our attachments. I read them today. Gawler River Floodplain Management Authority minutes of the meeting held on the 20th of June. Northern Adelaide Waste Management Authority Board minutes of the meeting held on the 27th of June 2024. So we're going to do them all together. So how you wish to move that way? Thank you, Councillor Hennessy. Do I have a seconder, Councillor Vallelonga? All those in favour? Thank you. there is a question on notice in the confidential reports. So that's not quite nil, but questions without notice. Do we have any questions without notice? Motions on notice, nil. Motions without notice. Council member attendances. Any council member attendances that people want to share? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, it was a big season for sponsors' nights and handover dinners and all this sort of thing. So I was along to a few. The football clubs had their sponsors' nights, and the Rotary Light Club. Rotary Gawler Light Club had their handover dinner, and they gave me an honorary membership, so that was exciting. Just a good season for that sort of thing.
That's very good. Any Councillor Hennessy?
Yeah, I just want to give credit to the Open Community Services Forum Expo that was held here in the Civic Centre last Thursday. That was an excellent turnout of organisations that provide a whole range of community services to our community. And then on Friday, the NAIDOC celebrations down at the Sports Centre, which basically filled the sports stadium. Over 20 organisations down there, as well as the Gawler Youth and the Gawler Libraries, and of course our Community Development Officer, Linda, very much involved, very successful, and again a great networking opportunity for people working across a whole range of Aboriginal support services.
So that was a fabulous event on Friday. I love going to Aboriginal cultural events, and I think it is very, very it's very good that Aboriginal people get involved in those events. And Beck Himlin was a fabulous MC, and I think who was the musician? Mr. May. He was Mr. May, and he was fabulous as well. So yeah, and we also talked to Reconciliation SA, and I think there's going to be lots of discussion around Reconciliation SA, because they didn't go to the Playford one, they came to us, and because I think Aboriginal people are very welcome in Gawler. And I think that, I think that it's a really good outcome. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I might be stealing someone's thunder, but I went to the, of course, many of us went to the screening of Emotion is Dead on Saturday the 13th. Fantastic film by a local Gawler writer and director. It was action-packed. It was nostalgic. A lot of us were looking at some of the places on there. It was heartbreaking. It was it was so familiar to so many people here. And I think it was an excellent film. And of course those actors also did a fantastic job. And the film was made with such a small budget as well. I was astounded to see how small the budget, or hear how small the budget actually was for that film. But an incredible job, and really grateful that councillors got invited to that as well. I also, on Sunday the 14th, it wasn't Sunday the 14th, it was Monday the 15th, I believe, I was invited to speak at the opening of the YMCA Youth Parliament, which was something which I got the opportunity to first attend in 2017 as supported by the Rotary Club of Gawler Light, as a Youth Advisory Committee member here, and they invited me back to speak about being a young person who ran and got elected to local government. So that was great to talk a little bit to youth parliamentarians about advocating on local issues and what local government's about.
Thank you. Any other events attended? Okay, thank you. So now we'll move to confidential reports. We have Councillor Koch question taken on notice. We have an officer's recommendation. Who'd like to move that way? And if you'd like to explain. Yep.
Don't mind. Yes, we'd like to move into confidence for this matter because the following information relates to information, the disclosure of which would divulge information provided on a confidential basis by or to a Minister of the Crown or another public authority or official, not being employee of council or person engaged by council, and would on balance be contrary to the public interest.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Vallelonga. Thank you. Unanimously. Thank you. So now we move to confidential report.